Hi everyone, my name's Victoria and I work for Doncaster Museums, and this week is Museum Week. Museum Week is a celebration of museums that takes place online every year, and the theme of Museum Week this year is Together. So what we've decided to do is partner with our friends at Barnsley Museum for a live curator battle that's going to take place throughout the day. So what's going to happen is we're going to take it in turns to challenge each other to find objects in our collections with incredible stories and share them with you. The first challenge that we are setting Barnsley Museums is to find a hat in their collection with an incredible story. We could have chosen lots of different hats. We could have chosen this fireman's helmet or this swimming cap, but instead we've decided to share this Shako helmet with you from our regimental collection. This helmet was part of the uniform of Captain Lionel Clay, who was an officer in the Queen's Own Yorkshire Dragoons that was headquartered in Doncaster. The helmet would have been stored in this case. As well as the helmet, we also have the rest of his dress uniform and his campaign trunk in our collection. Captain Lionel Clay fought during the First World War. He was killed in action on the 18th of February 1918, aged 38. And is buried in France. He's also remembered on the Queen's Own Yorkshire Dragoons Memorial at Doncaster Minster. Barnsley, it's over to you. We can't wait to see what hat you pick.
Hi, I'm Michael. It's day 3 of Museum Week, and as you might have seen, we've been challenged by our friends at Doncaster Museum to a curator battle. The first challenge has been set. We've been asked to find some hats in our collection. We've got quite a few to choose from. We're going to start with these from the 1890s. We've also got a cricket hat, worn by Jeremy Rowe at Holgate Grammar School. We've also got a hat that was worn by Dorothy at her first day at work at Barnsley Town Hall in 1944. For the first challenge though, we've selected one of our well-known hats. It was worn by the legend that is Stan Richards, best known as Seth Armstrong, the Liverpool poacher in Emmerdale, which he played for almost 25 years. Not bad to say that he was only signed up for 4 weeks to start with. We also have his jacket from the show too. Stan started his career as a pub pianist at the age of 15, and we've also got his metronome that he used in those shows. So, Victoria, it's back over to you for challenge number 2. We challenge you to find some tins from your collection.
Hi everyone, it's time for our next Museum Week curator battle with Barnsley Museums. They've challenged us to find a tin in our collection that has an incredible story. We've cheated a little bit for this one, and we've picked 3 tins from the same company. They are all Parkinson's butterscotch tins. Samuel Parkinson confectioners occupied a residence at 50 to 51 High Street in Doncaster. Parkinson's is credited with the invention of butterscotch as early as 1817. The company and the sweets became famous in 1851 when Queen Victoria was presented with a tin of the butterscotch when she visited the town. Queen Victoria was visiting Doncaster to open the St Leger horse race. The St Leger is represented on one of these tins. Following this, Parkinson's were appointed as sole suppliers of butterscotch to the royal family. The firm saw huge sales in the 1950s thanks to the end of rationing. As more brands entered the market in later years, Parkinson's began to struggle and closed in 1977. Barnsley, it's over to you. Let's see what you've got in your collection as a tin with an incredible story.
Hi and welcome to round 2 of the Barnsley and Doncaster Curator Battle for Museums Week. Thanks for showing us your tins, Doncaster. We love them and we've got lots in our collections too. In fact, back in 2019, this time last year, there was an exhibition at Experience Barnsley called Tins, 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 which celebrated the life of the Barnsley Canister Company, locally known as the Tin Oil. It began life in 1915 as a munitions factory, but started making tins in 1919 after the First World War ended. Tins were made on Sackville Street in the town centre, but then were made and sent all over the world. These were not just tins, they were pieces of art. We can tell from the many stories that it was such a great place to work. Slightly dangerous at times due to the machinery, but you had some great social events when you worked there. The tins were made for companies like the Co-op, Twinings, Hershey's, just to name a few, and it's interesting to note that 9/10 of the workforce were women. So there you go, a small history of the much beloved tin oil. This is a reproduction of one of the tins that was made there. It was designed by Danny Kubik in the 1980s. So it's back over to you, Doncaster. For your next challenge, we'd like to see some photographs, please.
Hello, it's time for our third challenge that's been set by Barnsley Museums as part of Museum Week in our live curator battle. So they've set us the challenge to find some photographs in our collection with an incredible story. The photographs we've chosen to share with you are from one of the biggest collections that we have in the museum. Bagshaw and Son was established by John Thomas Bagshaw in 1897, 3 years after his son Luke started photography. The company occupied a large studio at 150 to 152 St Sepulchre Gate. Heritage Doncaster looks after 14,000 glass negatives taken by Luke Bagshaw from 1894 until his death in 1944. We also look after the archive collection that consists of over 11,500 business records, such as invoices, bills, accounts, and items of correspondence. The majority of the smaller negatives are portraits of individuals and groups taken in the studio. These portraits include photographs taken during the First World War, like these. Others were taken at events such as weddings in locations across Doncaster. The larger negatives include images used in advertising, such as images of manufactured goods, shop fronts, vehicles and railway wagons. Some of these images were commissioned by Doncaster Corporation, what we now know as the Council, and give us a fascinating insight into the stages of major construction and engineering projects around the borough. Barnsley, we can't wait to see your photographs.
Hi and welcome back to the curator battle between Doncaster and Barnsley, which is taking place for day 3 of the Museum Week. We asked Doncaster to show us some photographs and you didn't let us down. We love seeing those images. We've got loads in our collections, mainly from the Barnsley Archives collection, where there's thousands and thousands of photographs. Lots have been digitised, plenty more still to be digitised and to be made available for the first time in the future, hopefully. So we've got lots to choose from, but we're going to focus on a collection from the 1960s. These photographs were taken by local photographer Roy Sabine in the 1960s. There's such a range of photographs, some of which were featured in the Barnsley Chronicle. He worked on a freelance basis. Many others from this collection, which probably spans about 4 years, covers lots of different local events and lots of day-to-day life. As we mentioned, in this collection you can see a lot more over on the Barnsley Archives Twitter page. If you search for Barnsley Archives and 1960s, quite a few of these will come up in search terms. So there you go, a snapshot of Barnsley in the 1960s. So it's back over to you, Doncaster, for the 4th and final round. We'd like to see something that links both our towns. Coal mining.
Hi everyone, it's time for our final curator battle from today as part of Museum Week. Barnsley Museums have challenged us to show you something from our collection that connects to coal mining and has an incredible story. It was really tricky just to pick one object for this category. We could have chosen a lamp, some mine checks, some badges, or this Women Against Pit Closures t-shirt, or even the last bit of coal extracted from Hatfield Pit. However, we have picked this sugar bag. It was part of a consignment of non-perishable food sent by sympathetic Italian miners to the miners of South Yorkshire during the 1984-85 miners' strike. The bag was distributed through the NUM to the families of miners who worked at Bentley Colliery. The sugar bag represents a feeling of international solidarity and was a wonderful human gesture of support to fellow miners. It was both practical and useful to everyone. Italy wasn't alone in giving help. Other countries such as Poland were also generous in supporting the miners. There was also much local help, including support from the wives of striking miners who organised soup kitchens and hot meals throughout the strike. So Barnsley, it's over to you. Show us what you've got in your collections relating to coal mining.
Hi and welcome back to the fourth round of the Barnsley and Doncaster Curator Battle for Museum Week. Thanks Doncaster for showing us some of your coal mining collections. As you'd expect in Barnsley, we've got quite a few. Mainly to do with the Women Against Pit Closures movement, which you can see playing on a video behind me. Similar to you guys at Doncaster, we've got lots of coal mining collections. We've got boots, we've got a tea set which was taken down the mines, we've got pit checks, we've got lanterns made at SEAG, but we've got lots by the Women Against Pit Closure ladies. We've got cards that they've made. So we're going to end as we started with a hat. This was designed by the Women Against Pit Closures movement, which began in Barnsley at the start of the coal mining strike in 1984. So that was the Barnsley and Doncaster Creator Battles for Museum Week. Thanks for watching and thanks to Doncaster for taking part with us. It's been great, let's do it again sometime.